And honestly, I mean, I really think there's a picture of the gospel to be said in finding something that is old or broken or thrown out by somebody else. You know, you take it and you make it something beautiful and give it a place of honor in your home. Like, isn't that what God has done for us?
Hey there, you're listening to the Girls Talking Life podcast, and I'm your host, Johanna. If you're like me, you love time with friends. I always leave feeling encouraged, inspired to try something different, or I've learned something new. So why not continue to grow even when we can't be with our girlfriends? We're not made to do life on our own. So on each episode of this show, I'll bring you a girl and her story to give you refreshing ideas to stir your soul. Let's walk this road together. Are you ready to talk life? Welcome to the show. I am so glad that you decided to press play on this episode. And to everyone listening in Latvia, I am so grateful for you. It is November if you're listening when this episode releases, and ready or not, it's time to start thinking about the holidays. I put together a favorite 5 gift guide based on the favorites of my past guests. It is a collection of those guest favorites that are going to make terrific gifts for your favorite people this season. If you are part of my Facebook community or if you're on my email list, you have already gotten your guide or have access to it in the group. And if not, follow the link in the show notes to get your copy. Today I'm joined by Alieta Casey, who is filling us in on how we can create warm and welcoming homes this season. Alieta would shop at garage sales and find unique pieces to decorate her home, and she started sharing it on Instagram just for fun. And she gained a lot of traction, and now she uses her platform not only for sharing home decor ideas, but also to pass on what God has been teaching her. Some things you'll hear us talk about are depression and following Jesus, asking for help and biblical community, creating a warm and welcoming home. Alieta's going to give us practical tips for hosting and decorating. And then we wrap up with some Christmas traditions. On the same episode that I'm giving you the opportunity to get the favorite 5 gift guide, I completely forgot to ask Alieta for her favorite 5. So I went to her after the fact and said, please give me your favorite 5, Alieta. And of course she did. And those are also in the show notes, along with everything else that we talk about in this episode on girlstalkinglife.com. Here is my conversation with Alieta. Alieta, thank you so much for coming on Girls Talking Life.
Oh, I am so excited to be here, Johanna. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, I found you on Instagram actually not that long ago, and I saw that you're posting all these beautiful pictures of your home and giving tips for decorating. And then I saw that you love Jesus and you're talking about his word. And I know many people post beautiful pictures of their home, but not everyone, not anyone actually that I know of is also sharing their faith like you do. So I was so excited to find you, and I knew that I wanted to chat with you.
Oh, that is so sweet. Well, thank you. I always say it is the weirdest platform that God has given me to talk about him. Like, I never would have imagined this is how it would go, but it has been such a fun and exciting way to get to interact with other women and talk about God.
So tell me, just introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about what your life looks like.
Sure. Well, I grew up here in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm a Sweet Home, Alabama girl my whole life. I married my college sweetheart, Logan, and we have 3 kids. One's a senior, which is crazy. And then we have a 9th grader and a 5th grader. And my education was in education. I was a school teacher. So I have no design background at all. I have nothing that would qualify me to be doing Instagram influencing, but I have always loved going to garage sales. My mom would take us shopping, and, I was amazed at how far my dollar could go.
Yeah.
You know, how many toys I could buy there versus Walmart. And so as I got older, I really loved hunting for unique treasures, things that would be kind of special. It wouldn't look like everybody else's house, and so I can find some great pieces for great prices. And I guess about 5 years ago, when friends would come over, a lot of times they would say, oh, where did you get that lamp? Or where did you get that chair? And I would wow them, by telling them, oh, I got it in an estate sale last weekend and it was $10, whatever. And so it ended up being like this really fun thing. People would come over and say, okay, which piece was from a garage sale? And so I decided it would be fun to start an Instagram account where I would just share what I found at garage sales and how I incorporated it into my home. When I started, I had never heard the term Instagram influencer. I didn't know there was a home decor community. Like, I had no idea. My expectations were that my best friends and my mom would probably follow me
Yeah.
on this account. So there was no grand plan here. But so I just started sharing, the things that I found. And my faith has always been very important to me. I came to Christ really young. I was a very strong-willed child, which I think lent itself to me knowing that I was a sinner. And there was no question in my mind that I did things that were wrong. And sometimes I was proud of that. So it was an easier jump for me to go from, I know I'm a sinner and I need Jesus. So I really don't remember a time when I didn't know God, which is such a gift. The older I get, the more I realize I'm so grateful for that. So it was really important to me just part of who I am is incorporating the things God is teaching me. So as I would post pictures of things I would find, I would share something, a Bible verse or something God was teaching me in the caption. And honestly, I really think there's a picture of the gospel to be said in finding something that is old or broken or thrown out by somebody else. You take it and you make it something beautiful and give it a place of honor in your home. Like, isn't that what God has done for us? So,
wow, what a beautiful picture. Yeah.
So I just enjoyed doing this fun little business. It wasn't even a business. It was just sharing some things. And eventually people started following me and I'd followed them. And I found there's this whole community, people who share beautiful pictures and decorating. And my account just kind of started growing. And it was slow, but I started doing a little Bible study on Thursdays, just a short, 3 to 5 minutes. And I would basically just share what God's been teaching me. And I call it Shiny Happy People. So every Thursday I share that. And I try to just give excellent content in the days leading up to it to kind of earn the right to share the things, that God is teaching me. So it's funny. Some people just skip by it. And that's why I said, I was like, if this isn't your thing, skip on by. But I've been amazed I've been amazed at the response. So I'm just so grateful for this, like I said, this funny little way that God has let me talk about him.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job at it. He is using you right where you should be. It's clear.
Thank you.
Part of your story includes some chronic pain and depression. What does that look like for you on a regular basis?
Yeah. Okay. Well, 11 years ago, it was when my 5th grader was born. It was a week after he was born. I woke up with stabbing pain in my neck. It was 2 split discs. And I hadn't had an accident. There had been nothing that happened. It was just kind of a freak situation.
So strange.
Yes. That's what the doctor said. This is really unusual, which is never what you want to, that's not what you don't want to be the unusual case. But so over the course of the next year, I tried all the different things, I met with surgeons, I did spinal blocks, I did physical therapy, traction. We kind of did all the things and just really could not get relief. And so it's in my neck. So it would shoot down my arm and I had this newborn. And so trying to feed him was so painful that a lot of the times my older kids would feed him his bottle. It was a very, it was a gut wrenching, that was,
yeah.
And if you have chronic pain or someone who does, it takes a toll. And so I guess about a year later, I was diagnosed with major depression. And by the time I was diagnosed, I was so far gone. I didn't think I could get off the sofa, I just didn't want to be depressed so badly. And just to me, it was somehow a failure in being a child of God, which is not true. And I don't think anyone had ever said those words to me, but at that time, I didn't know anybody who loved Jesus and had depression. And so to me, I didn't understand how those two things could go together. So what I say is I threw a Hail Mary and I sent an email to 2 girls that I knew from church who had been really kind to me. We were not super close, but I just knew both of them were my best bet. And so from my sofa, I sent an email and said, hey, I'm going through some stuff. Would y'all be willing to meet with me? And I'm so grateful. They said yes. And so we got together and I told them, just been diagnosed with major depression. I don't even know what to do. And they were so kind. Like the way they responded, they didn't say, well, you need to have more faith or you need to trust Jesus more or anything like that. And they also didn't just say, well, I'll pray for you. They said, okay, we're going to walk through this with you, which was the greatest gift. And we met every other week for 7 years. Just like walking through the different things that our lives, but it started with all my craziness happening. But I didn't tell anybody for a long time because I did feel this sense of shame just how could this have happened? Like I love God. Like where did I go wrong? How did I
Right. We're supposed to be joyful.
Yes. Oh my gosh, exactly. And how does that line up with somebody who, is so affected in my mental health? Like, how could that be? I'm supposed to have the mind of Christ, and all these things. For me, I started on medication, and for me, it's a chemical imbalance, and it's, exacerbated by circumstances like chronic pain. That just like if I had, chemical imbalance in my liver, I would take medication. For me, I had a chemical imbalance in my brain, and so I took medication. And I mean, I felt I could see the light again within a couple of weeks, which to me was, I didn't know if I'd ever get back to that, And then I see this amazing counselor who loves God and who's helped me just kind of start seeing the truth about this, that, that God loves me, that this is a thorn that, like Paul talks about, this thorn has been given to him. And he pleaded with God 3 times to take it away. And I'm like, I pleaded with God like 3,000 times. So I don't know why he stopped at 3. But, but God's answer was, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in your weakness. And nothing has made me more aware of my need for God than this chronic pain and this depression. I mean, that has been, I no longer have this illusion that I could pull this off, And so it has kept me close to the feet of Jesus. And so I'm grateful for it, even though it sounds weird to say. But also, like I said before, I didn't know anybody who was struggling with mental illness and loved God, or no one was talking about that in my area of, where I was. So I just, after several years, I started sharing it with people and was amazed at how many people were having the same struggle. And so eventually I decided I'm going to talk about it some on my Instagram, but I was nervous for that. But I said, I just waved my crazy flag, because I'm like, there are so many people who can relate to this. And it has been the sweetest thing to see people really move from this place of despondency to hope again, confidence in how God feels about them, that he loves them, that this does not affect his view of them, has been such a gift. So yeah, it's definitely, I think day-to-day life now, like I love my counselor. I love my medicine. So I have a really supportive husband and family. My kids, we all talk about it. So it's very much an open discussion, but it's just kind of part of my life. That thorn is just kind of part of the everyday now.
And it is something that's about you, but there's also parts of it that aren't about you. Yeah. Your family and your friends and now people who follow you are seeing how you are handling this as a follower of Christ. And that's really, really powerful, Alieta.
I'm so grateful. I have said before, I didn't, like, if I could have chosen to be like a poster child for something, this is not what I would have wanted. I'm like, Lord, couldn't I have been like the Miss America who shares things with people or whatever? But in all seriousness, like, it has been such a sweet gift that God has, I really feel like he has made me more than a conqueror in this. This is something that I thought was going to just take me out. And the fact that he has redeemed it and uses it to help people know him it's the most humbling. It is the most humbling thing.
Well, we are on the brink of the holiday season.
Yay!
So I want to talk to you. This is your thing, is making your home warm and welcoming. Yes. And I want to talk to you about how we can do that specifically for the holidays.
Yes. Okay. I'm so excited about this. And I will say, hospitality, to me, that word can kind of, sometimes it goes into entertaining or, whatever. What I think, the idea of warm and welcoming is that when people come in, they're not like, whoa, I'm overwhelmed by all this, whatever. But it's that they come in and they feel like they can come and sit and you can have the context to have a relationship. It's like all of the design stuff or decorating, whatever, is just kind of the background to be able to have conversations about God and for people to feel like there's a safe place to come and share what's happening in their lives. So, okay, I jotted down a few just practical things for when you're having people in your home that I have found has been really helpful. I will disclaimer, not an organized person, not a big cleaner. So my tip is, like, anytime we have people over, I just make sure from the front door to the sofa, like there's a pathway, everything's kind of clean in that pathway and everything else, don't worry about. Like, this isn't the time to go clean out all your closets. Like, do that after Christmas, like, put out whatever you need just out of the way during that time. But I will say, just make sure your bathroom is clean. That is the only place people will be alone in your house.
Good one.
Make that the priority. But as far as just letting people in, I mean, before people come over, whether it's a small group or it's a big party, we just pray. Let them feel loved. Let them feel loved. And that kind of helps me to get my eyes off of me or making sure things are all perfect or they're all going to think it's great, to like, how can I make sure they feel comfortable? Because that's what I'm trying to create, is a place where they can come in and just kind of, I'm relaxed now, So we joke that we as a family, we just smother everybody with love. So that's kind of our motto. So during COVID, that's been a little more, tricky, but hopefully, this holiday will be a little easier.
Yes, I hope so.
Yes. But I try to greet everyone as they come in the door, so I try to open the door and let them know I'm so happy to see you, so that there is like a moment and kind of bring them in. And I try to do the same thing as people leave. Like if I see people are leaving, if it's a big group, whatever, like walk them to the door, holler out about the door. It was so good to see you. It was so great. Just almost like, just to remind them, yes, like you matter, that you being here was important and, you're valuable. And then a couple more just kind of practical things. I think, again, it's such a weird time, people re-entering into social situations. And so I'm an extrovert, so I'm pretty much will come in hot wherever, but I have found for the rest of the world, especially during this time, there's a few things that I think can kind of make it easier for people as they come in your home. I try to have a drink station set up, because it's almost like if people have something they can do right when they walk in, then it makes it less awkward for them. Or if they somehow are like, I don't even want to talk right now, I'm going to go get a drink. Then they feel like they're doing something. So I'll have, a big ice bucket out there, and drinks and stuff, and they can kind of fix their own stuff. Same thing with like, we call it a grazing board here in the South, like a charcuterie board, just some kind of, crackers and cheese and dips or whatever, where they can come to kind of help themselves. They can stand around it, easy for conversation. So I try to have that kind of stuff set out beforehand. And also, if people ask if they can help you, have some things in mind that they can do. Because they may just want to be a helper, which is great, or they may feel a little uncomfortable. And if they had something to do, then they would feel more relaxed.
I love a job.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, makes me feel better.
Yes. So it's just like to have that in mind, to have a few things that you could be like, oh, could you put ice in those glasses for me? Things that they feel really useful. And then I think also just as far as, none of this is really about, this part is a little bit about decor, but I think creating cozy spaces in your home where people could sit. I love throws and throw pillows, blankets, anything that you can do to kind of create a, hey, come sit and relax. And it's tough sometimes when you're hosting, but I think as much as you can model that for your guests, like I'll try to be like, hey, let's grab our drinks. Hey, come sit here with me. And we'll come sit on the sofa. And like, if I kick my shoes off and, curl up with a blanket, they're going to do that too. Like if I'm more relaxed, but if I'm like, here's a coaster, they're going to feel a little more on edge. So
yeah, back to what you said earlier, kind of just making sure that the space that people are going to be in or that they need to get to is clean and not worrying about everything else. I'm guilty about trying to make everything spectacular, like spit spot. But that then creates a sense of where they feel like, hey, I need a coaster. Hey, I don't want to dirty anything.
Yes.
Rather than comfort and welcoming and coziness.
Yes, exactly.
So I love that you said that.
It's funny. I had a friend over yesterday or the day before, and I hadn't done my dishes. And I was like, gosh, I should have, done this or whatever. When she came in, she was like, I'm so glad you didn't do your dishes. That makes me feel so much. I'm just like, oh. And it was such a funny reaction because, obviously, if you're having a party, it's going to help if you've done your dishes.
Right.
But like, if you have a friend over, that like the fact that things weren't all perfect made her feel more comfortable. Isn't that such a funny?
It is so funny.
So there's your excuse for the day. Don't do your dishes. So you can make someone feel more comfortable. But I think, again, some people are really gifted at, cooking, and you want to put on this huge meal, and that's the big thing, and if that's your gift and that's what you love, go for it. But I think the more you let people like bring stuff, if they want to bring stuff, honestly, people have been just as happy having pizza in our home as if we had cooked some big meal. It's really about those conversations. And so whatever will make it easier for you to feel like you don't have to always be thinking, okay, now I've got to get this ready. I've got to get this ready. And I think also make it as easy as possible. Like if you're having, people, maybe not for Thanksgiving Day, but if you're wanting to have like a get together or a Christmas party with some of your friends, just do desserts and drinks or something, like simplify it. And then you have, a couple of things out that they can choose from. And it's really more about having everybody come together. I guess one more thing that not everybody will say they like doing this, but everybody ends up loving it. I try to have, if we have whether it's like the extended family or if we have like our Sunday school class over or something, I try to have some games for us to do. Sometimes it's more simple, like we'll just do charades. Mm-hmm. People love it. I mean, honestly, it is so funny to watch people get more competitive and stuff. And you can make it simple, like boys versus girls or just whatever, pick teams. But I will just have written down some simple, Santa Claus coming down the chimney or, whatever. I'll make it like Christmas related. And it is hilarious. And it's amazing how that can be a conversation starter the next time you see those people. Like, if you have someone that you're trying to, in the neighborhood or somebody you're trying to connect with, like having some kind of interesting shared experience like that can really be an end for the next time you want to talk to them.
Right.
And sometimes I'll go a little more extreme. I have done Family Feud games that I created, which is very fun. And it would be like related to whoever was coming over, And so I think you can go as elaborate or as simple as you want. But I think being able to have something kind of fun, ready to go, when everybody has had their stuff to eat, sometimes that is just a fun option.
Yeah, I love games. And it's such a great icebreaker.
Yes.
Gets you more comfortable.
Exactly. Right. My go-to icebreaker, I will say, if you're ever in a situation where you wonder, like, what should I do? The best thing, hands down, get everybody to share their most embarrassing moment. And some people are too nervous to share it vocally. So you can just hand out index cards, let everybody write it down. Oh my gosh, that is the best ever.
I have conversation cards, Alieta, and that is one of my questions, is share an embarrassing moment.
That is perfect. I feel like that is the great, like, that just puts everybody on a level playing field, It's like we are all in this together, no matter, even if that girl seems like she had it all together. Oh my gosh, she fell down the stairs and flashed everybody in college, accidentally or whatever. And you're like, we can be friends,
Right. I love all those suggestions. Thank you.
Good. Yes.
You have something called Tablescape Tuesday.
Yes.
And while I know that preparing our home for the holidays is much more about how it feels versus how it looks, what are some ways that we can make it look beautiful too?
Oh, great question. Okay. I think if you can, again, this is trying to keep it as simple as possible. I love using, if I can find paper products, that's just going to make it a lot easier. The cleanup is going to be easier. And there's a place, it's called Sophista Plate. It's a website and they have basically every kind of beautiful pattern. So it doesn't look like, here is this little white styrofoam plate, which is what, growing up, that's what paper products meant to me, beautiful. I hosted a bridesmaids luncheon here this summer for this precious girl, and I got all of the supplies from them, and the table looked like $1 million. But it was really inexpensive, and then everything was easy to clean up. So I think that is a huge, I would find, and Target has lots of cute ones too. I mean, you can get it from wherever, but my best tip is get a roll of wrapping paper from the Dollar Tree and use that as a table runner. And that just it just adds some pizzazz to what you're doing, but it's very inexpensive, again, easy to clean up. And then I try to just have, I love candles. I think that's really great. If you don't have little kids around at the table, I'm a pyro, so I love a good candle. But then also I think just simple flowers from Trader Joe's or from your yard in little vases so that people can still see, sometimes I will make on Instagram, big elaborate, like a centerpiece, and basically we just slide it all over when we sit down to eat. Mm-hmm. So, but just some smaller things that people will be able to. Depending on the group, and you'll kind of know your group, but sometimes people are more comfortable if you've assigned seats, and sometimes they're more comfortable just to you can sit wherever, so kind of know your people and think about if they're coming over. It's easy to make. I mean, again, I love index cards, fold them over, write somebody's name on it real cute, and then put it right in front of their plate. And that's an easy way to do it. And then sometimes people feel like, oh, here's my seat. But, a lot of times we're just free for all around here. And before we eat, we just gather everybody around the kitchen and thank them all. We're so glad you're here. We're happy to have you in our home. We say a blessing. And then I'll just kind of talk through, okay, we're doing, buffet or whatever. You're going to start here, go around, and then, drinks are here, and then you can sit here or here or here, just so that no one is still kind of unsure.
Right. You're clear with your instructions.
Yes. And just pick your most extroverted friend and say, you start us off. Because no one wants to start. So say, hey, you get us started, whatever. And they can start through the line. But yeah, so I think those things that's some pretty easy tablescapes. And I have others that I try to do inexpensive tablescape ideas on Tuesdays. So you're welcome to go kind of check through some things that I have done just for some ideas too.
Thank you. Great. Do you have regular gatherings that you have in your home for Thanksgiving or Christmas?
We kind of rotate yearly, just depending on where all the extended family is going to be. So, but last year we had Christmas for my husband's family here at our house. So, which I just love. I just loved having that. So yeah, it just kind of depends. But then throughout the year, we just have everybody over, for different things. So,
how about traditions? Do you have any holiday traditions?
Oh, yes. Well, this is really funny. Our family is so funny. But we like to do some kind of a creative Christmas card every year. A lot of times it's based on a holiday movie, and we will dress up like the characters. So I've been starting to think about our favorite. I think the most epic one, we did A Christmas Story. I was the leg lamp. My husband was Ralphie in the bunny suit. My daughter was the mom. My son was the kid with with his tongue stuck on a flagpole. And then,
did you say you were the leg lamp?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So we just feel like we have a lot of fun. So honestly, that is the thing that we really enjoy each year, trying to come up with what is it going to be this year and how can we, be creative. And then we send it out. We started out when the kids were younger, we just did pretty pictures and it just didn't feel like us. And now, last year we have a life-size Buddy the Elf cut out, which honestly, that's a fun thing to have at a party too, because everyone wants to take a picture with it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's honestly, it's pretty fun. But last year we had Buddy wearing a mask and we all had masks on, and that was our Christmas card picture. And we said, the best way to spread Christmas cheer and COVID is singing loud for all to hear. So we kind of tied it into what was happening in the world. But I make a garland of all of our old Christmas cards every year. And that's a really fun tradition too. I just hang it on our china cabinet. It's just with a, piece of yarn, and I tie it on each end and have little clothespins and just clip them up through all the years. And the kids love to go and look at all the pictures. And it's easy if you are like me and don't print pictures very often, it's easy to go back through your social media and find those and print that. That's a pretty easy thing to do.
Yeah, that is so sweet.
Yes. And another tradition, since we had kids, we always do Christmas Eve and Christmas morning, just us. We'll go eat with everybody, Christmas Eve night, or we'll go to a Christmas Eve service, or, in Christmas brunch, we'll go have with everybody. But the actual, we're spending the night at home and we're all together. And that has been really sweet. It's taken some of the pressure and, anxiety, I guess, out of Christmas Eve, Christmas morning.
Yeah, we do that too.
Guys, and that has been a really sweet thing. And so we still spend time with all the family. We travel some on Christmas, and that's okay. It was more important for us to have that time together. But we just give our kids, and this is, everybody has different, there's no wrong way to give gifts at Christmas. But for us, we just give our kids one big gift each, and they get to help us decide, what's something that they might like. Because they're getting a million fun things from all the rest of the family. But for that Christmas morning, we get up, we have sausage balls and monkey bread, and we listen to Christmas music, and we'll either listen to the Christmas story or watch Charlie Brown Christmas or something, just to kind of, and then, they'll open their gifts, but it's just one big gift each. So there's not quite that rush.
Mm-hmm.
And it has made it a really sweet time. So we always all look forward to that. And then it's fun to go you still have the chaos when you're with all the cousins and opening stuff, but that's kind of been really special for us for Christmas.
Really like that. We try to do that as well. Yeah. Even, like you said, later, if you have to leave by noon to get to where you're going for later in the day, just having that nice, relaxing morning to yourselves.
Yes, so exactly. Sweet. Exactly. Yes. So I think sometimes it's easy to get to the end of Christmas Day and you're so tired and you're like, wow, Lord, I never even said hi on your birthday. I think it's really easy for that to happen. And so to kind of have that time set aside, it's quiet, is just kind of helps the rest of the day, keep your eyes where they need to be.
Right. Well, do you have any last encouragement or ideas for us girls who want to open our home and create this space for grace this season?
That's a great question. Yeah, the biggest thing I could say is don't wait till you think you have your house perfect or you have the perfect house. We started having people in our home when we lived in a little tiny townhouse, and we really were only assigned 2.5 parking spots. So we made everybody park somewhere else and walk down. People want to be invited. People want to be a part of something. And if I'm waiting for someone else to invite me, I may not get invited. That's just the reality. So we try to just invite. I'm doing my arms like y'all are gonna be able to see this, but I'm just doing like an embrace, like reach your arms around and like who needs to come be invited to your house, So no one was. I don't remember anyone ever saying your house is so small. Like they're just happy. People are just happy to be there, and a lot of times people seriously don't notice stuff, like the things that seem really big to us. We had I think it was a Christmas party a couple of years ago, and the shower in the owner's bathroom had been leaking. And of course that backed up to the area right by the front door. They had to cut like a 4 by 4 inch hole out of our wall so that it could dry out and they could see if they could sheetrock it again. So there's a literal giant hole by our front door. And I was like, but we were having people over and I was like, I guess it'll be okay. No one cared. Nobody cared, and so things that might have bothered me before, I just was like, no one's going to say, oh, I can't believe she had a party. She had a hole in her wall. I had such great conversations with women that night. And I just think, I'm so glad I didn't say, oh, I can't do this. Everything's not perfect.
Right.
So, I think that's a big one. I think also just the temptation is always, this is what I always am like, there's too much Alieta. My eyes are on me. And so I really try to say, Lord, help me love, help me see who do I need to talk to tonight? Who do I need to love on and get my eyes off me? And I think it's good. Include your children in this. Like we had Bible studies in our home when our kids were little, and they would, help open the door. They would come running in, whatever in between stuff, and just let them be a part of that as well. If you wait or if you try to just have your kids be quiet or whatever, that's not real life. But I think now they don't think twice about having people in our home. They're happy to help with stuff because that's what they've always known. So I think probably those are the best tips that I have, what I've learned over the years.
I was supposed to have a group of women over. It was my turn to host. We get together every month. And my toilet in the bathroom, my guest bathroom, wasn't cooperating. I wanted to make a nice brunch for them, like a baked oatmeal, and my oven broke the week before.
No.
And there was this strange smell coming from this wall where I'm pretty sure an animal had died, is what I think happened. And I talked to my husband and I said, I think I should cancel. Like all these things are going wrong. And he said, right. Yeah, you probably should. And then I was like, you know what? This is life. We did get someone to fix the oven before they came. So I was able to do my breakfast. I had them go upstairs to use the restroom. There's one at the top of the stairs. And, we stayed away from the smelly area.
We just set it up and we lit a candle. It was fine.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully all they smelled was the baked oatmeal. But
I love that.
I did it anyway. And I think that's your point.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. I'm sure none of the women thought, oh, I had to walk upstairs. No one even cared.
I think they were fine.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And we had a great time.
There are things there will be roadblocks. I just feel like this is something God is encouraging us to do, then there's definitely going to be roadblocks to it. And so to overcome that is just, I think that's beautiful. I love that.
Alieta, I am so glad I got to know you better. I got to talk to you today. Oh. I love that you're just sharing your heart and your home the way that you are, and that you're encouraging other people to do the same thing.
I have loved getting to be with you. This has been such a treat today. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. Isn't Alieta so much fun? I am ready to go to her Christmas party and play some charades. How about you? I love her message of keeping it simple, and I need to remember and practice that. Probably my most favorite part of the whole episode was Alieta sharing how she reached out to the women when she was at that low point and she asked them for help. That is huge and that is brave. And then their response to her, that was a beautiful example of biblical community. We also talked about the Girls Talking Life conversation cards. You can get a set of those for yourself at girlstalkinglife.com/shop. Go follow Alieta on Instagram, see all her beautiful pictures. And then follow her on Thursdays for her shiny, happy people. Friends, don't let the conversation stop when the show is over. Share your stories and start your own conversations with the girls in your life. I will see you back here in 2 weeks. Thanks for tuning in.